Hey everyone, Joe Axman here, the mediocre astrologer. Meh, he's okay. Guys, today I want to look at the charts of the royalty, kings and queens and princes and princesses and dukes and all that stuff. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share button and book a reading with me. And I just want to reiterate, I will be raising my prices soon because I need to charge a little more. But at the same time, if you can't afford what I'm charging now or what I will be charging, I think it'll be around $100 very shortly. Then just let me know. I really don't want to turn anyone away, but at the same time, we're going to have that polarity, raising prices, but for those who can't afford it, they can pay less. But just let me know your situation. We'll work something out. Maybe you can write a testimonial for me. I really need some of that. So, all right, let me share my screen. Okay, we have Anne, Princess Royal Anne. And just a preface, I tried to get a wide variety of royals, but most of the royals, I don't know why, like it's all like British, the royal family, and like there's some other ones, but like Middle Eastern royals I looked at, couldn't find any birthdays. I did get the Japanese emperor, but anyway, yeah, it's a lot of European royalty. But anyway, it is what it is. Okay, Princess Anne is a member of the British royal family and the only daughter of Queen Elizabeth II. She is the seventh holder of the title Princess Royal and currently ninth in line of succession to the British throne. All right, whatever. All right, Libra ascendant. So what we're going to see a lot of, really, obviously, is Leo, because Leo is the king. Okay, so a lot of Leo. Alternately, we will see a lot of fixed signs in general, Scorpio and Taurus. Why? Because Scorpio wants to dominate and control and have all the power, which royals often do. Taurus, because luxury, money, wealth, excess, abundance. And Aquarius, too, because of God complex, opposite Leo, right? Leo's the king. Aquarius is the, well, many things, but like Aquarius often has a God complex. And I think this has to do with the connection to Uranus. Uranus was the original, one of the two original mythological gods of the universe. It was Uranus and Gaia, and they created Saturn, and Saturn birthed all the other planets. So Uranus is kind of above and beyond as far as a planet goes, and in confidence definitely can rival the sun. I mean, the sun has, it's bigger, it's right, like as a physical body, the sun is, incomparable. There's nothing like the sun. But as far as like energetic quality, Uranus is extremely confident, right? Because it just doesn't give a shit what anyone thinks, like ever. Like it's just like it's only me, and I'm the only person to ever exist. Therefore, fuck off, everyone. I'm just gonna do my thing, and that's supreme confidence, right? And so Aquarius has some of that quality. So anyway, and Princess Royal, and then also Sun and Moon, especially if we're talking about born into the royal family, Sun, Moon, fourth house, fourth lord. We're also going to look at those, and then if they're married, of course, obviously seventh house, marry into it, right? Some are not born royal, but they marry into it. We'll look at that. All right, but Sun conjunct Pluto, Leo in the 10th house. That's like obviously, so father. Well, obviously she's a queen. I mean, she's the daughter of a queen, but who is the father? I don't know. Father was royal. Sun, Pluto, 10th house, Leo, power, Pluto, right? Scorpio, Sun, Leo, very powerful, right? Moon, not so much here, right? She's the daughter of Queen Elizabeth, but I mean, Mercury's in domicile, conjunct Saturn, so very kind of in Virgo with Moon and South Node. So very kind of, there's a certain strictness and hardworkingness and critical quality that's can be seen here. And 11th house does deal with like very social awareness, so she's really going to be aware of her country and worldwide politics and things like that, especially in Virgo, in a very kind of analytical, critical way. I have a 19-degree Virgo moon in the 11th house, so that I completely understand that. And she has Mars and Scorpio in the first house, so pretty, I would not want to mess with this person. I mean, Sun conjunct Pluto, like the ego and the pride, very high. Any planet that is in the 10th house or conjunct the MC, either side, is going to feel, in a sense, superior to others. Either they're going to work for it or they just naturally have it, right? They're going to want to be kind of above others. And you see this a lot with celebrities, whether we're talking about royalty or Hollywood celebs, singers, anyone who or CEOs, politicians, right? Anyone who has like a really big, strong career presence, public presence, very strong MC, generally speaking. And yeah, so Venus is her ascendant lord. Venus is in Cancer, but it's very close to the MC. Uranus in the 9th. And at 9th, 10th, 11th, these are all public houses, right? So, and then first, for the Mars is 7th lord first. So it's like attracting somebody, but both in good dignity here. Jupiter's in good dignity. I don't really know much about these people at all. I'm just really looking at the fact that they're royals. It's got a lot of planets in dignity, right? Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Sun. Jupiter's retro, so she's probably not very orthodox religious. And Chiron's retro, seems quite slow. Definitely makes her unique. And that's square the moon. Moon square Chiron. Ouch. That kind of hurts, I think. Definitely because definitely she feels issues with the mother and certainly weird. Mother is probably very critical and hard on her. Very critical of her. Virgo moons typically have a mother who can be very critical of their children. Let's keep going. We got 20 to go through. So I'm going to try and put timestamps on this one, make it a little easier for you to go through and pick out the ones that are interesting. Because maybe people don't want to watch the whole thing. So anyway, Robert the Bruce. So he was in my chart. I wouldn't have chosen him, but he was Scottish king of old. But he united Scotland and defeated England. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know the story, but if you're Scottish, you probably do. So Taurus ascendant, Venus conjunct Mars, Sun, 4th house. All right. And then South Node Pluto in Capricorn with a trine to Saturn in Virgo, especially the South Node, but it's still making contact to the MC. So that's very strong, very, very powerful career. But what he's really focused on is homeland, right? Land, kingship, ownership of land is 4th house. Yes, for public image, we got 10th house, but so 10th house, 4th house axis is going to be very strong. Moon in the 6th, 4th lord in the 6th, service. Right, so he's very service oriented. Serving his land. Scotland, serving Scotland. See Jupiter at 0 degrees in Pisces domicile in the 11th house. That's quite good. Unifying everyone, making them popular. 11th house, good. 11th house that is in good dignity. Either by rulership, the ruler of the house, or planets in there that are in good dignity, will make somebody very popular, right? And I think he was enormously popular with the people. People loved him. the Scottish people, because he united them. And then he's got North Node conjunct the Sun in the 4th house, right? So he's like really and Ascendant Lord, and Mars, 7th Lord. Mars is also ruling the 12th, bringing foreign land home, right? Maybe he conquered land that was not his, or that was his that wasn't his. Maybe he recaptured some land, reestablished some land from foreigners, the British or something like that. I think that's what it was, right? But North Node, Sun is king, Sun is worldliness, Cancer is home. So that would be the other thing, Cancer, Moon. That's another thing we can look at, definitely. All right. Jupiter retro again. Definitely not religious orthodox, but everything else is, except for Pluto and Chiron. Nodes are stationed. Moon and Venus have mutual reception. That's interesting. That's a 4th and 6th lords and the Ascendant Lord. So definitely he's service to the people. And that's what makes a great leader. Somebody who can serve the people. His heart, his 4th Lord is in the 6th house. He's going to fight for the people, and he's going to be in service to the people. Good king. Very good. And it's going to be hard work. There's a square between Moon and Venus and Moon. But that 4th, 6th mutual reception will definitely play out through some effort. Queen Camilla. There's something very dark here about Queen Camilla, because we know who she replaced. Princess Diana. And Charles was having an affair with Camilla while Diana was alive. Diana dies in an accident. Yeah. Anyway, seems she is very naturally royal. She's got her ascendant in the sign of the king, Leo, and Saturn and Pluto. Saturn for authority, leadership, Pluto for power and control and strategy and obsessiveness. Right. I just read online, somebody was like, what does Saturn and Leo mean? And somebody else was like, it means you're really afraid to stand in your confidence, to be Leo 9, like kingly, proud, in front of the limelight state. There is obviously that element to Saturn where fear can paralyze the person, and they can be held back by fear. But many powerful people have a prominent Saturn in their chart that's not always in the best dignity. It may or may not be. But so Saturn in Leo does not signify somebody who's automatically necessarily afraid of their own shadow, who's not going to, step into the limelight and be a big boss, a kingly boss, which is what it really represents. But that can happen with any sort of Saturn. More likely when it's in poor dignity, that the person will not, grow into the fullness of what Saturn represents. But it's not a deal breaker either. I mean, they definitely can grow into the full authority and discipline and rulership, leadership that Saturn represents. Right? And she obviously did. She took a leader role. She's queen. I mean, come on. And look at this. Jupiter in Scorpio, stationary. So Scorpio, power, control. The heavyweight champ, Jupiter, stationary. Wow. That's their 5th house, right? It's actually 4th whole sign house. So that's significant, right? Land, home, kingdom, castle, right? And then a very powerful 12th house with Moon, Venus, Mercury, Sun. Moon's in domicile, conjunct Venus. So Moon is not really ruling the cusp, but is the 12th whole sign house, Cancer rather. Moon's in domicile, Venus ruling the 11th house, groups, networks, community. 4th house. Okay. Queen, right? 4th, Venus. Moon in Cancer. So that's very queenly, right? And then Venus, 4th Lord, homeland. North Node, Mars, Gemini, 11th house. It's all fine and well. MC Lord in the 11th, career success, things like that. What else? So community, groups, networks. So the kingdom is a large community, right? The British kingdom. So she's part of that. And it's Taurus, even though it's Gemini, Taurus is on the cusp. So that makes more sense, right? Taurus is luxury, money, wealth, excess, materialism. Gemini has nothing to do with royalty, right? But Taurus definitely can. So can Scorpio and Leo, all the fixed signs, right? Jupiter station, brilliant. I love seeing station planets because it's just like fantastic. So far, Jupiter's been retrograde with the other two that we looked at. Now it's station. Mercury's retro. Everything else is direct, except for the nodes. And Moon is in good dignity for Queen Camilla. Princess Caroline. Princess of Hanover, Caroline. Okay, I didn't copy the thing, but okay. I have no idea who she is. She's a princess of Hanover. Okay. Just to be thorough, I'm gonna pause it for a second. Okay, sorry about that. I felt like it was important to just have that little bit of info. And it is. I got it. All right. The Princess of Hanover, her Princess of Monaco, formerly styled Her Royal Highness the Princess of Hanover, is the eldest child of Prince Rainier III of Monaco and his wife, the former American film actress Grace Kelly. So that's important because that's such a unique American, I mean, worldwide, international love story. You know, Grace Kelly, who is an actress and then becomes a prince, or not prince, queen, right? Queen, princess, whatever, royalty. She has many relatives and okay. So anyway, whatever. So that's just the key bit of info. Mother's Grace Kelly. Okay. Pisces rising with Jupiter in the 7th quadrant, 8th whole sign house. Moon in Scorpio with Neptune. Really interesting. So that's talking about Grace Kelly there. The Neptune would definitely make sense because film actress, which is a very Neptunian thing. Fantasy, almost like, you know, every little girl's, you know, childhood fantasy. Becoming a prince, you know, if they could be Grace Kelly, that would serve, you know, I think every little girl, almost every little girl would, you know, love that story. You know, at least superficially, becoming a film actress, then marrying a prince. But Scorpio, that's pretty intense for this moon, right? But Scorpio does, you know, she is a woman, her mother is Grace Kelly, and you know, power, control. Well, 8th quadrant, so that's intense, but I don't know what happened there. It's not the 8th whole sign house, and it is trine the ascendant, so it's not so bad. And it's moving into conjunction with the 9th house cusp. And North Node's clearly in the 9th house. Saturn conjunct the MC. And this is often a sign of leadership as well, right? Saturn conjunct the MC. Very strong, very much so. Mercury, Venus, and Capricorn. Yeah, that's okay. Good for leadership as well, I guess. Sun in Aquarius, right? Aquarius, fixed sign. Uranus and Leo, Pluto and Leo. Definitely got like a lot of the fixed sign, and then we got the square, the fixed T square, right? Sun, Uranus, Neptune, and Moon. It's pretty intense. So she's probably pretty aggressive. I mean, when Sun's opposite Uranus, these people love to argue because it's the opposition activates in relation to other people, and they become very sort of Uranian. Like Uranus is not very, especially the retrograde. It's always going to be retrograde if it's opposite the sun. So they're very sort of, you know, shocking and argumentative, and you know, kind of like to one up, especially in these fixed signs, Leo and Aquarius. With the Scorpio moon, definitely has a superiority complex and a deep inner need for sort of, this could be very intuitive though. But definitely it needs to be right. Don't argue with her because she's not gonna have it. She's not gonna like being argued with. And she's got this fierce Mars and Aries in the second house. Definitely likes to spend money when Mars is, in the second house. Can do that very much so. What else? So Mercury is the fourth lord. Venus is the eighth lord. Interesting. And the third lord. Anyway. Her Mercury is really slow. Definitely almost stationary there. So she's probably very intelligent. A very good mind. Jupiter retro again, always with the Jupiter. Uranus retro. Pluto retro. Pluto retro, I think definitely maybe creates a psychology that is turning back on itself, that's questioning itself and questioning others. It's a very, very deep part of the mind that is going against the grain, has resistance to the norm. It's at the anoretic degree, interestingly enough. All right. Another princess, Caroline. Oh, Catherine. Catherine of Wales this time. Member of the British royal family. She is married to William, Prince of Wales. Heir apparent to the British throne, making Catherine an expected future queen consort. Okay, so she was not born royal, I guess. Right? Because William is. So I don't know where she's born, but not born royal, I guess. So we'd look to the seventh house, but she does have that Leo rising. And who else had Leo rising? Camilla. And who, this is actually really, really interesting. Look, Moon and Cancer in the 12th, same as Camilla. You cannot make this stuff up, guys. Look, and she's leaving her worldliness behind, South Node Sun, her connection to the world, to become a queen. It's amazing. By her king. All right. Saturn and Uranus ruling the seventh. So Saturn's in really good dignity with Pluto. So that makes a lot of sense. Uranus, I would look more to Saturn for Aquarius because Saturn's more physical. Then Jupiter and Scorpio in the fourth house. Again, for the fourth lord, for land and home, hometown, homeland. Jupiter, husband. Jupiter can often represent husband for a woman. This is only the eighth house. So that's not so good. But let's see what else. Venus is ruling the MC. Venus is in the sixth, but moving to the seventh in Aquarius. And with Mercury. Mercury's the 11th and second. Definitely money. 11th and second both together rule money. So she married into money and in service. So she's definitely not an equal partner or publicly. Yeah, I mean, Sun is also in the sixth house, which is her ascendant lord. So she's in service, right? She's definitely not in a leadership position. And Venus and Mercury are square Jupiter. It's going to be very excessive. Yeah. Definitely likes the excess. And then Saturn is exalted, conjunct Pluto. Very, very intense here. Saturn and Pluto conjunction. It's got a T square with Sun, Moon, the nodes. Wow. Saturn. That's really intense. Sun, Moon, the nodes, Saturn and Pluto. Saturn conjunct Pluto. Really intense. This Saturn's ruling the 7th house. So that's like destiny, right? Saturn square the nodes and the sun and the moon. 7th house, partnership. She's destined to be a powerful partner. Obviously the king or the prince. Sorry, prince. Not Prince the singer. Different kind of prince. The Prince of Wales. Venus is retro. Chiron's retro, node station. Venus and Saturn, mutual reception. Oh yeah, didn't even see that. So that's actually 3rd and 7th lord. Why 3rd, not 4th? Why 3rd, not 4th? Well, the two signs on either side of the angles always relate to that sign on the angle. So if 4th house is home, we have the neighborhood around the home. 3rd house, the neighborhood, short distance travel. Bob, Mary, Jane, the neighbors you say hi to, you chit chat. 5th house is the schoolyard, the theater, the basketball court, the fun and games, the kids running around, the entertainment, the nightlife, the fun, right? So these are all home, all, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So 3rd house shows that she's going to be more a part of the neighborhood of the kingdom rather than actual, but she does have Jupiter here. Jupiter's ruling 8th, shared resources in the 4th, Scorpio, shared resources, power. So she does have power and authority, but maybe not as much as some other royals. She's more just one of the outsiders, part of the neighborhood, part of the royal neighborhood, you could say. And Uranus is here, God complex, Neptune, illusion, delusion, fantasy. Anyway, so something like that. Diana, Princess of Wales. Already looked at her chart, but look again. Okay. Sag rising, Jupiter in Aquarius. Moon, South Node. North Node, Uranus. Okay. South Node was her destiny, was her early destiny, Moon. Moon in Aquarius, right? It's the opposite of Leo, but it's still that has that royal quality, has definitely the fixed signs play a huge role, and Cancer as well, for Queen. Sun is in Cancer, Mercury is in Cancer, 7th lord is in Cancer. But then North Node conjunct Uranus, accidents in Leo. That's accidents. North Node conjunct Uranus. I have North Node conjunct Uranus. I mean, it could be there's many ways. It could also be awakening, right? Spiritual awakening. So there can be different things, obviously. But yeah, Moon is Queen. Moon's in Aquarius, conjunct South Node. Jupiter as well, success, excess, abundance, indulgence. Saturn is in Capricorn on the 2nd. So definitely wealth, Jupiter in the 2nd. Moon in the 2nd, South Node 2nd. And this essentially is 8th. Moon, Uranus, 8th house, right? 8th quadrant. Even though it's trying the ascendant. Yeah. So Mars conjunct Pluto also. Very, very difficult. And this can be, so Mars Pluto conjunction, because it's so fierce and aggressive, sometimes the person can own this, but then they would be like a killer or abuser, right? Like a very, very aggressive person, a violent person. If they can't own this, it's got to play out somehow. How's that going to play out? Externally. And it's conjunct the North Node in Uranus, right? So it's not just the North Node, Uranus, 8th house. It's North Node, Uranus, Mars, Pluto. Even though it's out of sign, it's still connecting. Still connecting. No. What else? Venus is in Taurus. That's excellent as well for money. 5th house, right? 5th house is very you know, entertaining, fun games, good for the limelight, good for the spotlight. She was, right? People loved her, people adored her. She's very, photogenic. She was the people's queen. Sun conjunct 7th lord in Cancer. So for being a princess. The 9th lord conjunct the sun. And the sun is the 8th lord. Well, technically moon is, but we could take sun to be the 8th lord as well, because it's taking up most of the, and if we change house systems, the 8th quadrant the 8th cusp could be in Leo. So you really don't want to be rigid or dogmatic about the non-angle cusps. They're movable, mutable, changeable, right? These are like mutable signs. They change. So the sun certainly can be, and it's probably more has more 8th house energy than moon. But death and marriage are going together. 8th lord and 7th lord are going together. Yeah. Her ascendant lord is Jupiter retrograde, so that means she is very has a lot of resistance, right? She's not going to go along. She's not going to just be agreeable, right? If the queen's a lizard, she's not going to just be like, okay, lizard queen, cool. She's going to be like, damn it, lizard queen, stop eating babies. And, and stuff like that will get you killed, right? If you're going to go around exposing the royal secrets about how the queen eats babies and is a lizard, you're probably going to get killed. Which, I should probably not say too much about that. But she does also have a grand water shrine with Chiron, Neptune, Sun, and Mercury. And she was very caring, very compassionate person. Neptune and Scorpio in the 8th. Oh, sorry, 8th, 11th. This is also very telling for, her popularity, because Neptune is glamour. And then, even though it's in Scorpio, it's in the 11th, it's conjunct the 11th cusp. So very glamorous and popular glamour, right? 11th house is the house of popularity. So glamorous, Neptune is the planet of glamour. So there's something very glamorous in a populous sense. If that makes sense. Mercury, so she's got a lot of retros, and so that automatically you just know she's gonna be more resistant, more rebellious, not going along with it. If the queen's like, we make billions of dollars doing what we do, she's gonna be like, but you eat babies, that's not okay. Speaking of the lizard queen, Queen Elizabeth of England, the lizard queen herself, South Node Capricorn, ascendant. So when the nodes are on the ascendant descendant axis, it's very powerful, very strong. And I have this, not exactly conjunct the ascendant, but North Node in the 1st house. But especially as she gets older, she's going to be very obsessed with other people. Cancer, homeland queen, right? Pluto, power, control. North Node, obsessively trying to control other people obsessively. There's nothing more obsessive than North Node or Pluto. They rival each other as far as obsessiveness, but I mean, early part of life, North Node's not active. Pluto is, but second part of life, North Node is absolutely obsessive. It's absolutely so is Pluto, and so here she's just like completely obsessed with controlling other people. One comes to mind. Jim Jones had Pluto in the 7th, and he was controlling and manipulating people. Right, that's Pluto in the 7th. And so Saturn and Scorpio on the MC. Rulership, leadership, Scorpio, power control, Pluto, power control. This is crazy. And then she's got the fixed T-square, right? And she's got all the fixed signs, right? Sun and Taurus, 0 degrees. Luxury, luxury of luxuries, 0 degree Taurus, right? Leo moon, Queen moon, Neptune, exotic, glamorous, pretenses. Mars and Jupiter in Aquarius, first quadrant, second whole sign house. So definitely wealth, but also Mars. So like expenditure and voice. Mars in the 2nd can really be aggressive speaking. Exalted Venus in the 2nd, also for wealth. Uranus in the 2nd, also for her self-worth and values, just like God complex. Right. Mercury in Aries can be very, very aggressive speaking again. Nice lady. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So Venus is 4th lord in the 2nd, exalted, right? Homeland resources, exaltation. It's brilliant. I mean, this is just so telling. Mars rules the MC. It's in Saturn. Actually, that's a mutual reception right there. MC, and it's not ruling a cusp here, but it's 1st lord and 2nd whole sign house lord. So something about herself and the public image, but also bringing in some of the 2nd house quality resources. Sorry. And then Jupiter opposite Neptune square Saturn along with Mars in the fixed signs. So the square to Neptune would definitely create some illusion and delusions of fantasy and grandeur, especially in Leo, like just bloated ego, right? Just expanding that ego with that square, because squares really tend to bring out the negativity in the planets, especially at first. If they can get away with it, maybe it stays that way. And then Mars, Jupiter excess, Mars aggression. Aquarius can be very cold because they're very intellectual. So she could be very cold-hearted here with this square, especially Saturn square Mars. That's going to be very aggressive. Jupiter opposite Neptune. It's just like excess that's just bloated and out of control. Saturn's retro, so she really doesn't have regard for other authorities. Generally that's good, but with somebody with that much power, I mean, it's just like, I don't know. It's really, she's just not going to care what anyone says. She's just going to do whatever she wants. Neptune retro. I don't know. Gives her confusing imagination. Something like that. That's a little I don't know how to characterize Neptune retrograde. Because it's so Neptune's so nebulous. So what happens when it goes retrograde? It's like the imagination. It's constantly reverting, checking itself. Something like that. All right, now we go to sausage fingers King Charles. It's funny. All right. Leo ascendant with Pluto in the first. I mean, talk about ego, power, control. Leo, ego, king. Right. So sun in Scorpio, Chiron, Mercury, South Node. Again, these fixed. I tell you, the fixed signs are so prominent with all the royals. Not just Leo, but yes, Leo, but all the fixed signs, right? And then moon 0 degrees Taurus, right? So Queenie had 0 degrees Sun Taurus. And Charles, King Charles, and now King, son of Queen Elizabeth, 0 degrees Taurus moon, exalted moon in Taurus, and North Node, conjunct North Node. Mars ruling the MC, Mars in Sag in the 5th house, but moving into the 6th, Jupiter in the 6th, which is pretty. It's in dignity. It's in Sagittarius. It's in double cell, but it's at the anaretic degree. Jupiter is about to fall from grace. That's really interesting. So we could look for a fall. We could say 9th house and 6th house. So what would that be? Competitiveness, right? He might lose a battle. He might have a big fight that could be philosophical, religious oriented, or somehow traveling. Maybe it's related to foreign travel. But maybe he starts out with, good faith, good religion, good philosophy, and then becomes more corrupt and Capricornian, right? Capricorn can be very corrupt because they just want material success, right? And Jupiter and Capricorn, they really don't have the value system. They don't have a strong. They can. It depends on other things, right? I don't want to, because you see it becomes mixed. But somebody like Charles, who's just so spoiled, and this is opposite Uranus, it's probably not very good for this Jupiter. He's probably just going to become too materialistic, right? Maybe start out very noble. Oh, we have to be, some very high-minded philosophy and serve the people. And he's like, fuck that. Let's get ours. Let's take the money. Well, he already has all the money, but like fuck the people, like fuck philosophy and whatever. I don't know. Something like that. His ascendant lord is square the nodes. So there's something very destined about this person. Squares to the nodes and anything contact, any strong nodal contact, south node, north node, squares show destiny, a certain kind of destiny. Squares are not the T square to the nodes is not a very easy destiny. It's a struggle, but it shows past and future. Something that needs to happen. So being Leo, ascendant, king, power, control, right? Pluto, Leo, Sun, Scorpio, right? That's basically mutual reception too. Sun and Pluto sign, Pluto and Sun sign. 5th and 1st. And 2nd. 5th and 2nd as well. I mean, yeah, let's bring that in. And then Saturn in the 2nd. So if somebody was saying, okay, Saturn in the 2nd lord, if it's not in really good dignity, probably means you won't have much money, you're going to struggle. Is that really the case with King Charles? I don't think so. I mean, come on. He's a prince for a long time. If anything, he had to wait to become king. And maybe that's part of what this represents. This Saturn in the 2nd shows that it's all relative, even though he's like born into, some of the largest wealth in the whole universe. Well, solar system, I guess we could say, planet. He still has to wait for his lion's share of that wealth and authority and control. So Venus is in Libra, conjunct Neptune. That's going to be very excessive, indulgent. It's in the fourth house, so definitely for royalty that makes sense. 4th fourth lord in the fourth house, south node and Mercury in the fourth, sun in the fifth with Scorpio, power control. Jupiter opposite Uranus. That's an interesting. It definitely it's going to radicalize his beliefs system, especially because Jupiter's ruling the ninth. It's also going to probably create some very strong, kind of shocking fights, opposition, because Uranus is not a soft planet. Uranus is very like lightning, right? It could be very aggressive, but in a very like sudden way. It's not like Mars, where it's constant aggression. It's not like Pluto, where Pluto wants to mastermind and control. It's just like shocks and accidents. Considering what happened to his wife, Jupiter does not represent wife for a man, but maybe it does, right? Historically, I'm saying like historically, I've never heard that, but maybe it does. Maybe that's something to keep in mind. That accident, wifey. Let's see, Saturn partnership is in the second, Virgo. Saturn, but Uranus is also ruling the seventh. Right, so maybe something like that relates to what happened with Princess Diana. But yeah, definitely problems, fall from grace, something very shocking, Uranian. Yeah. And one more thing, it could also be that because Charles is a prince, that his wife is going to be subservient. Sixth house, right? I don't know if Camilla fits that role, but Diana probably did. Just a thought. I'm not saying it's definitely the way it is. All right, here we have Grace Kelly, beautiful actress who then married the Prince of Monaco. Is it the prince or the king? This was the prince, anyway. But here we have the nodal axis of South Node, North Node, right? So early part of her life, she's like, Scorpio rising, again, fixed sign, Scorpio. And with all these personal planets, Mercury, Sun, Mars is in domicile in Scorpio, right? Venus is in the 12th in Libra. Love, foreign love, right? Foreign romance. Venus is ruling the 7th, right? 7th lord in the 12th, foreign, exotic, in very good dignity. Venus in Libra. Okay. But then the first house we have where she's all popular. She's famous. She's an actress. We got the South Node, Mercury, all about her. Ascendant Lord, Mars in domicile in the first house. So it's all about her, first half of her life, right? Second half, it's all about others, partnership, right? Seventh house, Taurus with Venus in Libra, partnership, seventh house, exotic, or sorry, 12th house, exotic, foreign. But Chiron, right? Did she marry some wounded reject weirdo loser? No. Like Chiron represents a prince here, right? But you're not going to get that unless you look at charts. And a lot of these astrologers, they're not looking at enough charts. They're just not. They're just reading books. They think astrology is all about reading books. It's not about reading books. Because I'll tell you, the people who wrote the books, they're looking at charts, right? They're looking at charts. They're not reading books. They're looking at charts. And that's why they can write books. And then like all the idiots, they're like, oh, how I be an astrologer? I read books. That's how I become an astrologer. No, that's not how you become an astrologer, you fucking idiot. You either are an astrologer or you're not. And the way to get better if you are an astrologer is to look at charts. Stop looking at books, look at charts. Okay? You'll see that Chiron is not, oh, it says here, wounded healer. That's all Chiron is. That's all it can ever mean. Fuck off. No, it doesn't. You're an idiot. Shut up. You want to be an astrologer, look at fucking charts. That's all that you need to do. I mean, books are good, but they're secondary. Books are secondary. I'll say it again. Books are secondary. This is primary. Astrology is right here. Don't look at books. I mean, look at books, fine. Go to classes, but this is astrology. Anyways, Chiron, not necessarily wounded healer, right? Can be. Chiron means something different, right? A prince. How many people are princes? Like like the tiniest fraction of the world's population, like infinitesimally small. That's a Chiron, right? Because Chiron's weird. Chiron's different. Princes are weird because they're so unusual. They're so different, right? So stop. Oh, I hear people. I have Chiron in the ascendant. I have Chiron in the MC. Oh my god, my life sucks. Well, your life sucks because you have a miserable attitude. It's got nothing to do with Chiron, right? You're just a victim because you made yourself a victim. Got nothing to do with Chiron. So shut up. It's fun to talk like that. I get a kick out of it. Moon and Pisces in the 5th. So very exotic, excellent that's for film star, brilliant, right? Grand water trine, Pluto in the 9th, Leo MC in the 1st, right? Fame is coming to her. Neptune and moving to the 11th house, 10th, 11th. So very exotic, popular, career, 10th and 11th house. Movie star, right? But then she marries a prince. So that's brilliant. Jupiter and Gemini in the 8th, not in good dignity. So Jupiter ruling the 2nd and 5th. But I mean, did she gain from her marriage? Yeah. And so one aspect of the 8th house is that gain from marriage, because marriage and then the product of marriage, right? Like the 1st house is self, the 2nd house is resources from the self, 8th house is resources from the marriage. She has Jupiter here, but it's not in good dignity in Gemini. But did she get money? Yeah. Right. So that's why you can't just be like, oh, the book says Jupiter, Gemini. Oh, it's not good dignity. You're probably not going to make any money. Well, fuck the book. And it says right here, Jupiter and Gemini in the 8th can give you money. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's retrograde. Maybe it's everything else. Maybe because 7th lord's in good dignity, right? But you can't take things in isolation. And people always want these hard, fast rules. This means this. This means that. And when you don't give it to them, they're like, "This is not astrology. You just looked at charts." Well, guess what? The astrology that you think is astrology isn't astrology. It's just bullshit. It's like, if you have this, this means this. If you have that, that means that. No, it doesn't. You can't take things out of context. You have to look at the whole thing. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Right? And you have to come in as the guest, not the host. You can't come in with the answers and apply your answers onto the charts. The charts have to give you the answers. You come in with questions. The charts will give you the answers. You come in as the guest. The chart will be the host. The chart will tell you what is and isn't real about astrology. Don't come at the chart and be like, this is the way it is, chart. And if you don't agree with me, you're wrong, not me. You're ignorant. You're not an astrologer. You're just a dumb fuck. So don't do that. Listen, and then you will get the right answers. Jupiter retro again. Something about royalty to have Jupiter either retro or station. It's very interesting. Here, Uranus is retro. So she's very independent-minded, very rebellious. Pluto's retro also. Her psychology is questioning itself and others. All right. King Edward the 7th. And I have a feeling like I should not spend too long on some of these. But Saturn in Capricorn, right in the 1st house. Jupiter in domicile also. Sagittarius in the 12th quadrant, but 1st whole sign house. Brilliant, right? Right there. Mars in Capricorn. Brilliant. Okay, so he's obviously King of England, was King of the UK, British Dominion Emperor, and Emperor of India from 1901 until his death, 1910. So that's only 9 years. He was the first British monarch of the House of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha, which was renamed the House of Windsor by his son, George V. So yeah, there's a lot of like conspiratorial type talk about, you know, the royal family, how they're not even British. I think they were like German or something like that originally. And so they tied that in with like there's photos during World War II of the royals, you know, doing the Nazi salute. And they were closely tied in with the Nazis as well, the House of Windsor. So they're basically Nazis. The royal family are Nazis. I don't care. Like, you know, you want to come kill me, come kill me. Right. All right. Sun in Scorpio again. MC in Scorpio. Fixed signs. Fixed signs rule royals. Venus is in domicile in Libra. Moon's in Virgo, the anaretic degree. Mars is the MC Lord. Mars is in Capricorn in the first house. North Node in Aquarius with Neptune, surrounding the second house cusp. South Node Chiron, right? And then there's Pluto and Aries, so fourth lord. Venus is the fourth lord, very in very good dignity in Libra. In the I mean, this is actually the 11th whole sign house, but because of the but it's in the 9th quadrant, so it's interesting. But it's very prominent in any case, and public. Right? When the houses get skewed like this, it's difficult. It's things get like life isn't all clean like we'd like it to be. It gets messy, and that's one of the indications that the person's chart's not going to be. It's going to be a little. Their life is going to be. It's going to be weird. It's going to be a little off. The larger houses are going to have way more influence than the smaller houses. Saturn is square moon. Saturn's not ruling a cusp here. It's ruling the second, but it's the first second, we could say, square moon. So there's could be some issues with his mother. But definitely Saturn and Jupiter on the ascendant definitely show leadership and MC Lord in the first and in good dignity. Right? And that coming into wealth, resources, shared resources, kingship. Pluto is opposite Venus. Venus being the fourth lord in this kind of strange position, 9th quadrant, 11th whole sign house. But it's also carrying some 10th house qualities. It's very public. I mean, it's you know, very square. It's almost square the ascendant, but very obsessive relationships, very obsessive rulership. This fourth lord, right? Obsessing over his land and his rulership. So very kind of, you know, strategic power control grip on the way things are. And then the Jupiter square Uranus, definitely radical belief system. Not very good. I would not trust this guy. Jupiter square Uranus, he probably believes in crazy things like, you know, killing Jews or something. I don't know. Killing peasants. Royal people get fucked up. They get fucked up in the head. I do not envy them. Mercury's retro, so he's going to be quite belligerent. Uranus is very retro, so very radical, very independent. Pluto retro. A lot of planets in good dignity. So the good dignity, well, it can go either way. Good dignity are not always good. It's not. Especially with Mars. Mars can be very aggressive when it's strong. Violent even. It happens. Especially when there's an opposition or a square to it. But there's not. So I'm not saying he was violent. But definitely radical belief systems and like power struggles, authority, control issues, definitely obsessive. So Edward the Eighth. So the 7th and the 8th, Edward, both Edward. I didn't record anything here. Just another king, another boring king. So again, fixed rising sign in Aquarius. This time MC is in Sag, not a fixed sign. Moon's in Pisces, Sun's in Cancer. So this seems like maybe he's a little more gentle. Let's see. Not sure about that. But anyway, South Node Saturn, Libra. Saturn's exalted, so authority, leadership. Uranus in Scorpio, retrograde, very high, very prominent. That's actually 10th whole sign house. So Uranus with the God complex and highly independent. Let's see. Saturn. So ascendant Lord Saturn's a good dignity in the 9th. Actually 8th quadrant. Well, conjunct the 9th house cusp in South Node. North Node in Aries conjunct Mars in Aries. And that's the 3rd whole sign house, but 2nd quadrant. Resources. Mercury's ruling. So Venus is in Taurus in the 3rd. But very strong 4th with Pluto, Neptune, and Jupiter. So land, homeland. The Mercury's in Cancer, 4th Lord, in the 6th. So perhaps he was a good king because maybe he wants to serve the homeland, right? Sun in the 6th whole sign house, but 5th quadrant. All right. So that's not bad. This guy seems, but Pluto, Neptune, Jupiter, 4th house. So he definitely wants to rule, right? Pluto, right? He definitely wants to power, control, authority. And Neptune is kind of like delusions of grandeur, especially conjunct Jupiter, really spanning that, right? The excessiveness. But at least he wants to communicate and does seem to want to serve. And with this Pisces moon, he's probably artistic and creative, if not outright intuitive. So maybe he was all right. I don't know. Could be. He seems fair, right? South Node, Saturn, ascendant Lord Saturn in Libra, 9th house. So very fair, philosophical minded, right? But then North Node, Aries, Mars. So that's very aggressive. So he probably has different sides, right? Speech, communication, a very aggressive speech communication. Okay, this time Jupiter is prograde. But Uranus is retro. And Uranus is his only retrograde planet. But Uranus retrograde is so powerful because Uranus is very independent normally. But what I figured out, like when I was thinking about Uranus retrograde, because I have Uranus retrograde on the ascendant, so it's good for me to really understand this. Uranus is a rebel, but Uranus prograde would more likely be aligned with a sort of group of rebels, because the prograde means going along with the flow. So it's like it's going to be harmonious, but with the Uranian within the Uranian context. So it's like Che Guevara had Uranus on the ascendant, but it was prograde. It was direct. So he was in league with all the other rebels. A Uranus retrograde would look at all the other rebels and it would rebel against the rebels, right? It's even way more rebel. I'm just in a league of my own. That's Uranus retrograde on the ascendant. It's obviously not on the ascendant, but it actually is co-ruler of Aquarius. So it's still gonna be, he's extremely independent. If this is the only retrograde planet, and it's in very good dignity as well. It's in Scorpio. So this guy's very independent, right? Everything else might be prograde, but he is, as a spirit, as a soul, as an individual, he's very independent minded, and he will not, go along with the crowd. George the Sixth of the UK. Again, it's all a lot of British monarchy, a lot of British royalty. Was king of the UK and British dominions, December 1936 until his death. He was the last emperor of India and last king of Ireland. Right, so he's got Chiron right in the ascendant. Oh, he must just be a wounded loser. uh, got ascendant lord. Most of his first house is in Scorpio. So again, the fixed sign, and then Venus, Saturn, Uranus, Moon, with Mars in Sag. But let's see. Here. So Chiron, for being, an elite, right? Somebody who's very different, unique, weird, one of a kind. Chiron's weird, definitely stands out, definitely unique, and that fits royalty, right? Let's see. Venus is ruling most of the seventh house, and it's the ascendant lord. Duh. So first ascendant lord in the first house, so it's all about him. All right, Saturn, authority, leadership, discipline. And Saturn is ruling the third and fourth, right? But fourth primarily. And Uranus also tying into that fourth. In Scorpio, powerful. Moon, Scorpio, definitely not easy. This guy has no chill, especially with Moon conjunct Uranus. He's probably a bit crazy because Moon's in, Moon's kind of in hell, like the heart's in hell in here, and then the Scorpio, and then it's conjunct Uranus, also in hell, and it's like it's craziness. So he's not a peaceful man. Not, and this also represents his mother, who is like probably like a dragon queen. Literally. Because this is the lizard family. And then very, also strong second house. And first house flows into the second house. So definitely a lot of resources. Pluto, Neptune, Gemini, opposite Mercury. So Mercury is dignifying these, but also opposite the Sun and Sag. So that's very mutable. So definitely very, very, so also because even though this is wide from the sun, but actually Mercury Neptune opposition would show lying, deception with others. Also sun, but Pluto, then the power and control, manipulation. So he's lying to people, but he's also manipulating and controlling them. And it's in the eighth house, so power, very, very power hungry, right? Really wants this guy is not savory. He's not a nice person. Like he's just all about power and control and like appeasing his crazy, insane mind through wealth and authority and control. But look at this Jupiter. It's in Leo, it's conjunct the MC in Leo, right? King. It's right here. Jupiter represents success, it represents abundance. Leo is king. MC is public. I mean, it doesn't get any more clear than that, right? I have my ascendant Lord Mars conjunct the MC in Leo, so I do feel pretty kingly. But I'm like, I don't want to call myself the astrology king, but I don't know. Maybe I'm astrology royalty. Nah, my Virgo moon says nah, but my Mars in Leo says yeah. So does my Saturn in Leo. Anyway, whatever. The nodes don't seem to be doing all that much. South node, 11th house, north node, 5th house. That's all fine. In good relationship with the ascendant Lord Venus. Seventh Lord in the second. Marriage is an asset. His wife is a resource, a wealth. He married a gold bar. He married a kingdom. Married wealth. I don't know who he married. Jupiter retro again, and then Neptune, Pluto. Sun and Jupiter, mutual reception. Yeah. Sun, Jupiter. Yeah. So that's 2nd and 10th Lord, mutual reception with Sun and Jupiter. So king and abundance. Public image, career, resources, assets, self-worth, trading places. Being a king leads to lots of valuable resources. Yeah. That's that would be hard to figure out how that works. Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. So Meghan Markle. So we know her. She's the young. She's complaining on Oprah about how hard being a princess is. So we all felt terribly for her. We all just like, oh my God, Meghan, you have such a difficult life. Poor you. You're a princess, and things are really difficult for you. She was born and raised in LA, California during her studies at Northwestern University, from which she graduated in 2003 with a degree in theater and international studies. She began playing small roles in American television series, and this is something I never knew before. In 2011, she debuted her best-known role, portraying lead character Rachel Zane in legal drama series Suits. Never saw her in that, did not know that, but she's an actress. So Grace Kelly, all over again, right? She announced her engagement to Prince Harry. Okay. Retired from acting. So, similar to Grace Kelly, very strong first house. Moon's in Libra, conjunct Saturn and Jupiter. Saturn's exalted. Sun in Leo. North Node in Leo. Mercury in Leo. But Grace Kelly had South Node on the ascendant, North Node in the second. So the difference is that early on, it's a difference in activation. I'm not sure the ages comparatively, where Grace Kelly married her Prince of Monaco, or when Meghan married Prince Harry. But the nodes are similar. The first house is similar, right? And then let's see, Saturn's in great dignity in Libra, right? Grace Kelly had Venus, 7th Lord, in the 12th in Libra, in good dignity, in domicile. She has Saturn conjunct Jupiter and Moon in Libra, so exalted in the 3rd house, but conjuncting 4th house, conjuncting the 4th cusp with Pluto in the 4th. So definitely power, right? Land, ownership of land, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, Moon. All right, very powerful. So Mars, the MC Lord, Mars in Cancer in the 12th. So career, Cancer, Queen, Princess, Mars, not good dignity, but so remember Grace Kelly had 7th Lord in the 12th. She has MC Lord in the 12th. So first whole sign house, but still. Mercury would be the 12th Lord. And Mercury is in Leo, conjunct North Node, and Sun. Right? Sun obviously representing what's the 2nd Lord. So wealth, but also Harry. And then Saturn also represents Harry. Venus in this is why people don't like her. Venus is in Virgo, and it's conjunct the 3rd cusp. So she expresses complaints a lot, about how hard it is. Like Venus in Virgo is so picky. It's in poor dignity, right? It's not all embracing. It's like, this is wrong, and that's 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 wrong. And it's one of the hardest things about Virgo is getting over their criticality, because nothing's ever good enough for Virgo. And I suffered from this for basically my whole life, right? And it's great for some things, but it's a real hindrance in other ways, because Over criticality puts a negative, gives you a negative mindset, gives you a negative attitude, right? And she's a prince, and she's still princess, and she still has the nerve to complain to Oprah about how hard her life is. And we're all just sitting here like, fuck off, bitch. We don't give a shit. You're a billionaire or a millionaire, or however million, like, I get it. Like, being in the lizard family is not exactly easy. Having, Queen Lizard as your mother-in-law is not exactly easy, but so what? Ignore it. Take your millions and be happy. Stop complaining. Right. And that's a lesson for me. Like, I'm criticizing her, but really it's like I have to make, and I just turned the corner on this, and it's been amazing. Like, I really just have to master my mindset and be appreciative of everything that's good in my life, which I am, and so I turned that corner. I'm not doing that anymore. Even though I can, I'm not staying there. Right. All Virgos are going to have criticisms from time to time. Uranus is stationary in Scorpio, so that's very powerful. It's in the 5th house, so definitely a lot of fun and games and entertainment. Well, I mean, Uranus is not very fun. Well, that's not true. Music and comedy, right? But not so much in Scorpio. Scorpio will tend to bring a lot of awareness and depth to Uranus, but in the 5th house, education. So she's learning a lot, right? And she's probably learning about the lizard family, the royal lizard family. Just trying her ascendant. Yeah, Neptune in the 6th, Chiron in the 11th. She's, Chiron in the 11th here would show very unusual groups, networks, family, royal community, royal kingdom. And it is in conjunct Neptune in Sag. Neptune is very glamorous. So this is something very delusional. Maybe she's delusional about, maybe she was very delusional about what she was walking into and had her bubbles burst and was sorely disappointed, painfully disappointed about the royal community, the royal family. Anyway, one can only speculate. Uranus station, boom, 0000. Very, 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 very. So that's something interesting. Maybe she has an excellent sense of humor, but dark. And maybe she's very aware. Scorpio can tend to squash the humor of Uranus a little bit. It's so heavy and serious, and it doesn't want to laugh very much. Like, Scorpio doesn't really like laughing. It doesn't. But it's very aware and very aware of the darkness. So you know what? I bet Meghan Markle will become very aware of her royal lizard family the way Diana was. And maybe that's why they left. Maybe she found out too much too quick, had her bubbles burst, her royal delusions dashed upon the rocks, and was like, fuck that. I can't deal with these lizards. Let's get out. All right. Phillip Mountbatten was Queen Lizard's husband. I know people think I'm being disrespectful, but I mean, honestly, they're very disrespectful people. They do horrible things, including eating babies and kidnapping babies, kidnapping children, and doing all the horrible things to them. So really, that's where I'm coming from. I know I'm using humor to mask it, but it's out of concern and also spreading awareness. So Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, born Prince Philip of Greece and Denmark, so married the Queen Lizard. And he was the one who, before he died, he said, if I could be reincarnated, I would come back as a virus to kill a certain percentage of the population of the earth because the earth is overpopulated. That was his big thing. These are eugenicists. Nazis were eugenicists. That's where they started. If you don't know that, it's true. He started with there's a clear Nazi policy, eugenics. Let's kill the useless part of society, the old, the sick, the retarded, the Jews, and the gypsies. And I think they even killed Catholics for some reason. I'm not sure why. Maybe they're too religious. Anyway, Leo ascendant with Moon and Neptune right on the ascendant in Leo from the 12th. So that's clear indication that, you know, he's marrying the Queen Lizard, royalty, right? Neptune, exotic. Royalty is very Neptunian, especially Neptune in Leo. That's very royal. Venus, in domicile in Taurus, conjunct the MC. Sun conjunct Mars in Gemini in the 11th. So groups, networks, community, popularity. Mercury, Pluto in Cancer, moving into the 12th house. So very, very strategic, but dark and heavy, powerful communication and intellect. Trine Uranus. Wow. All right, so let's see. Mars, Sun conjunct Mars, right? 4th Lord in the 11th house. That makes sense. Where Venus is conjunct the MC Lord. MC Lord Venus conjunct itself. That's very strong. Moon is the 12th in the 1st, right? So foreign moon, queen coming to him, Leo, right? He was not the king because he was not born into the family. I think they called him Prince Philip, but he was married to the queen. Jupiter's in Virgo, where it's in detriment, and Saturn in Virgo, so Saturn's stronger here, both in the 2nd. Jupiter's the 8th Lord in the 2nd, so marriage resources become his resources. Because even though it's technically the 1st quadrant, conjunct the 2nd house cusp, Saturn in Virgo certainly did not limit his finances, right? So if you see a chart with Saturn in the 2nd, and it's not in great dignity, does not mean you will be poor. Might mean you have to wait in order to receive your full resources that you're going to get, to some extent, right? Not born into it, but he was born into it. I mean, but that's Jupiter as well. And then the 2nd Lord Mercury is conjunct the 12th house cusp and Pluto. So very powerful resources and foreign, exotic again. Saturn, 2nd Lord, 7th Lord. So 6th and 7th Lord. But so marriage into resources, wealth, Jupiter. Even though Jupiter's in Virgo, still bringing in money. Jupiter's opposite Uranus also, so very radical belief system, right? Like I told you, he wants to be reborn as a virus so he can come back and kill everyone or a lot of people. That's this, Jupiter opposite Uranus, very radical belief system, where Jupiter is in Virgo, so not very high-minded, not very wise, and it's dominated by Saturn, very cold-hearted, very scientific. Not a very nice man. Everything is direct except for the nodes. Pretty normal. And Uranus is quite slow. Let's check on that. 4 days from station. So that'll be 4 days from station retrograde. So it's just more potent, more powerful. Uranus in Pisces. Anyway, let's keep moving. This is the this is actually the emperor now of Japan. It obviously he was the crown prince before, now he's the emperor. Is the eldest son of HIM Emperor Akihito and HIM Empress Michiko. I don't know what HIM means. Title Prince Hiro no Miya. As a child, he became heir apparent to the Japanese throne upon the death of his grandfather, the Showa Emperor Hirohito, January 7th, 1989. The Crown Prince is well known for his extensive charity work. He also carries out a full schedule of royal duties. So charity work. Okay. Leo ascendant with Uranus, retrograde, right on the ascendant. So he's very independent, but very much a royal Leo. God complex, royal Leo, with a very independent being. Personality. So Sun is in Pisces in the 7th. Again, widely conjunct Chiron. Not widely conjunct, out of sign. Right? But the Chiron is still influencing that Sun. And this Chiron is not here, wounded healer. This is just means somebody who's extremely different, standing out from the crowd. Moon, Saturn, Capricorn. So Moon's not good dignity, but Saturn is. So very strict, 6th house. Service to others, charity. Right? He's very charitable. Jupiter is in good dignity. It's in Sagittarius. This is a man who cares, who actually cares about the people. You know, he's not very expressive. Moon's in Capricorn, but he's very mature. Right? Moon in Capricorn people just have a really hard time expressing themselves. They can be cold-hearted and neglectful, but they can have a very mature expression of that, which is just very fatherly. So they don't have their expression is limited in that case. Their expression is hindered, right? Their emotional expression. They don't know how to convey warmth, but they know how to convey responsibility and maturity. They do the right thing when they are mature, when this moon is mature. And it's in conjunct Uranus, so there's something quite explosive there. That's interesting. Maybe some disagreement with his mother when he was young, or his parents in general. Authority figures. Neptune and Scorpio conjunct the IC from the 4th with Mars in Aquarius and conjunct Venus. Venus is the MC Lord. So 4th Lord, MC Lord in the 6th. He's here to serve. He wants to serve others. That's why he does charity work. North Node in Virgo in the 2nd. So Virgo, also very service-oriented, 2nd house, resources, and speech. So he probably likes speaking, public speaking. South Node Mercury, Pisces, 8th house. Shared resources, 11th in the 8th. Maybe, you know, it's definitely something very secretive and hidden here. Hidden communication. Could be actually very psychic and intuitive. Definitely has an interesting mind, an interesting way of thinking, because it's double water. It's very psychic. Yeah, I bet he has very strong psychic abilities. The Mercury is ruling the 2nd house, 2nd in the 8th. Interesting. This could be loss of money, but he's the emperor, so unlikely. But maybe he gives charity. Charity. This is charity here. Yeah, service to others, but also because resources, poor dignity means loss. Right? 2nd house ruler in the 7th, in the 8th, poor dignity, other people, shared resources, loss. Right? 8th house can go either way. It's a swinging door, rotating door. Can be money in, money out. Same with 2nd, but it depends, right? Shared, when it's money out, it's shared, right? Shared resources to others. People in poor dignity, Mercury in Pisces, poor, poverty. He likes to give money to the poor, especially when he was young. And he's all about other people. And he's very compassionate, Sun in Pisces. Outer planets are retro, so a very independent spirit. When the outer planets are retro, all the other inner planets are direct. They like to appear agreeable, but underneath they are very resistant. And that's me. I have my outer planets retro, and in the 12th, first, second, and then all the other planets are prograde. So, but because I have Uranus retro on the ascendant, just like Naruhito, that actually makes me quite belligerent in many ways. So I imagine, it goes both ways. He can be very appeasing and going with the flow, or very independent and resistant to, the crowd or the peer pressure or influence, outside influence. Zara Phillips is a royal. She's interesting. Is an elite standard equestrian and is the current European and world champion in eventing. That's horse eventing. She's the only daughter of Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, and her first husband, Captain Mark Phillips. She's the eldest granddaughter of Elizabeth II. So granddaughter of Queen Lizard of the UK and Duke of Edinburgh. She's currently 11th in British Order of Succession. Okay, who cares? Alrighty. Scorpio rising, Uranus retrograde in the first. Very independent, right? Very resilient, very resistant to peer pressure, to group pressure, just wants to do her own thing. So the rest of the lizard family probably, can't influence her very much. Mars is her ascendant lord. It's conjunct Chiron. Again, ascendant lord conjunct Chiron. She's not a wounded healer. She is somebody who's very unique and different. That's truly the essence of Chiron. 12th house is not the house of self-undoing, it's the house of the subconscious. It's just that the subconscious will tend to create self-undoing if you don't bring awareness to the 12th house. Right? So a lot of astrology is extremely superficial and missing the point in the case. Sun in Taurus, luxury. She's all about relationships, other people. But Mars also is bringing in 6th house element. It's tied to the 6th house, literally. So animals, horses, Earth, right? Taurus. Even though Sag, I would say, is much more horsey than Taurus. Taurus is still very nature oriented, grounded, right? So it's still going to lend itself to that. But others, and then Venus and Mercury and Gemini in the 7th. Gemini is ruling the 8th cusp, but it's putting in the 7th quadrant. So I take that to be 7th, but it's in good dignity here. Definitely likes to communicate and talk to others and be with others, and very bossy with Mars here. 6 moving into the 7th. And Sun, egotistical, but definitely likes company, right? And then she's got a grand air trine, so very smart. Saturn conjunct Jupiter in Libra. Saturn is exalted, 11th house. So actually, she's probably very powerful. Or sorry, not powerful, popular, right? People like her because she got Saturn in good dignity and Jupiter. And Jupiter in general is very good, right? So both Saturn and Jupiter in the 11th house, so popular. Venus also in the 7th, very social, loves to talk to people, very talkative. And then Moon, Pluto, right? Signifying her mother. Very powerful mother, very powerful motherly lineage, from her mother, Princess Anne, and then Queen Lizard. You gotta have fun with this. So I'm calling her Queen Lizard. I know. It's funny. But then there's the Sesqui Square, so perhaps not a great relationship with the Queen Lizard or Princess Anne. And then Mars, also Sesqui Square Jupiter. That's actually very physical, right? Because it drives the like squares to Mars just makes Mars be more Martian, which is aggressive and physical, right? So she definitely wants to get on that cow. Actually, it's a horse in this case, but it's a weird cow. It's a weird cow because Chiron, no, it's a horse. But Chiron itself, Chiron was a horse. So that there's that tie. Um, North Node Leo, South Node, uh, Aquarius. Jupiter's fourth lord in the 11th, conjunct an exalted Saturn. Neptune conjunct the second house cusp in Sag. Probably doesn't care much about money. Very similar chart to me in certain ways because of Scorpio rising, Uranus in the first, and then Neptune and Sag in the second. She probably really doesn't care that much about money, which is why she's off riding horses. Neptune really just can't hold on to things. And Neptune in the second, they don't hold on to resources, but they can value fakeness. I've seen this. Probably not her because she's too scorpionic. And Scorpio really kind of needs to be like authentic and genuine, at least to itself and to its the people that it lets into its circle. But if not for that, otherwise Neptune on the second could be very fake because they value Neptunian things, which is glamour, pretenses, right? So they can just be like all like, especially women, well, men too, right? But then they can dull up the face with makeup and plastic surgery and things like that. But they're not going to be, and depends what else is here, right? It obviously depends on a lot of things. Yeah, that might be actually even more Saturn conjunct Neptune. But anyway, Neptune in the second is very hard to hold on to finances and resources and things like that, unless you have other planets there influencing it. So she's very resistant. She's very rebellious, very resistant, really wants to do her own thing. She's probably like, fuck off, lizard family, I'm gonna do whatever I want. All right. Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex. Capricorn ascendant. So this dude is gonna be quite Capricornian. Hardworking. Capricorn ascendants really do like to work hard. Unless they're Taurus suns, which then it's like a conflict between work and doing nothing and being fat and lazy. Not always. I mean, there's a lot of Tauruses who work hard. Some Tauruses can be quite lazy. Let's see here. Mars MC. Mars is in the 11th, conjunct Uranus. Sun in Virgo, Mercury in Virgo. So very critical, but good mind. Sharp, analytical. Venus in Libra. Venus ruling the fourth house. Moon in Taurus. North Node in Taurus. Right. Saturn conjunct the MC. This is a sign of leadership. Jupiter's not in good dignity in Capricorn, but it is close to the MC, or sorry, ascendant. Jupiter is not ruling a house here, but third whole sign house, most of the second house, and 11th and 12th cusp. So that's foreign. Was he the one? Did he marry Meghan? I know you can't answer me, so I don't know why I'm asking you, but I think this is Meghan's husband, and they left the royal family. He's the one who still has his hair, right? And the other one, Prince Harry has hair. Let me hold on. I just gotta figure this out. All right, sorry about that. I solved the mystery. Prince Harry has hair, and that's how you can remember it. If you need to, Harry is Harry. If you want like a way to remember these royals, Harry has hair, and the hairy guy gets the girl. Well, I think they're both married. So, but then he left the royal family, right? So he's marching off into the distance. So anyway, I think he was like in military, but probably a very coddled, protected section of military. But Mars conjunct Uranus is very explosive and spontaneous, right? And radical. And then Uranus is opposite Chiron. So let's bring in that. He's marching away from his weird lizard family. Into the distant yonder, because this is the 12th whole sign house. Even though it's 11th house, you could say like, okay, community, but also it's still bringing in the 12th house element of loss, of moving to like foreign, exotic, right? Moving away. But he's still a prince, right? Ascendant Lord Saturn in Scorpio conjunct the MC, widely conjunct Pluto in Scorpio, widely conjunct South Node in Scorpio. Mars is the exaltation lord of the ascendant, so that's interesting. And well, there's somewhat of a mixed reception with Jupiter because of the exaltation and domicile, but it's not very strong because it's not by degree and it's mixed. But he also has Neptune and Sag in the 12th, so there's some kind of foreign loss or something like that. Let's see here. 7th in the 4th. So marriage, home. His marriage is he's gonna marry his princess, who's gonna move into his homeland, and he's gonna move with her. Or North Node Moon. So let me just restart that. North Node Moon shows that his future destiny is to be about the moon, which is, a moon all alone is moon in Taurus is exalted, right? So happiness from luxury and materialism, 4th house, homeland, and then wife, moon's ruling the 4th, right? So that's really what he's all about. Let's see here. Sun is in the 8th, but it's somewhat protected by Mercury. Mercury ruling the 5th and 6th, but 6th whole sign house, so mostly 6th. And 9th, it's the 9th whole sign house, so 8th quadrant, 9th whole sign house, so a mix that there as well. Interesting because his mother died. So how would we see that? So 4th lord, we have moon and North Node, but this is good dignity. And then Venus also in Libra, good dignity. But so what I'm thinking is that Sun, well, I mean, this could be his father who's missing. Like maybe, like a lot of people say, Charles is not the father, so his father's missing. 8th house father can be coming and going, or like distant, negligent, loss. And then Jupiter ruling the 12th, foreign, the loss. Neptune. Trying to see where it says mother is murdered. And it doesn't really, unless Saturn in Scorpio, Pluto in Scorpio, South Node in Scorpio, right? Saturn can represent parents, but it's ruling the first and the second. Should be fourth lord. Fourth lord is Venus. Fourth lord's good. So South Node, Saturn, Scorpio, MC. Yeah, something like that. Mars, Uranus is accidental, but that's his mother. It's not him. Very painful wound. Saturn, Uranus, Chiron opposition. But everything else is quite good. Mercury square Chiron. In any case. He's all about his wife. That's really what he's all about. He's all about his homeland too. So I don't think he wants to really leave. But she does, probably. Oh, and he has no resistance. So he's really just going to do whatever she says. His Chiron's retrograde, so he's so he's going to be even more unique than his weird lizard family. Like he's going to rebel against the lizard family because they're the Chiron, just because they're so unique, so different. And we see that a lot with the roles. They have strong Chiron presence because of their uniqueness. And if he's retrograde, he's not going to go along with them because Chiron. So the one place he'll rebel is against his family. But he's not going to rebel against his wife. Okay, Princess Margaret, Countess of Snowdon. Was the younger daughter of George VI and Queen Elizabeth, and younger sister of the current monarch of each of the Commonwealth realms. The younger daughter, so Queen Elizabeth. Okay, so that must be a different Queen Elizabeth. Yeah, Queen Elizabeth the First, not Elizabeth the Second. And the younger sister of the current monarch of each of the Commonwealth realms, Elizabeth II. So sister of Queen Lizard the Second, daughter of Queen Lizard the First. She held the title Countess of Snowdon by marriage. She was controversial of the Chironic British royal family. As a young woman, she was a figure of glamour in post-war Britain and Commonwealth. However, her private life was plagued by romantic disappointments, including her politically thwarted love for a divorced older man in her youth. Oh, that's a no-no in the royal family. In her youth, a subsequent, often unhappy marriage to a commoner, an acrimonious divorce beset with accusations of adultery, and in her later years, a public affair with a much younger man. So let's look at that. That's interesting. That's juicy. All right, Aries ascendant with Uranus retrograde in the first. So she's very independent, right? Very independent. Really doesn't care what anyone thinks. She's going to do her own thing. It's in Aries. Aries is all about themselves, right? North Node in Aries, South Node Libra, Venus in Libra. Okay, so here's the issue. It's South Node. Meghan Markle is gonna have a difficult time. I'm telling you, as she gets older, they're gonna divorce. Ooh, I just said it. I called it. Harry, and Meghan Markle are gonna get divorced because South Node's in the 7th. Meghan Markle, unlike Princess Monaco, literally that's what it means. She's very flirtatious, this Princess Margaret, but South Node is gonna pull her away from her partners. Meghan Markle's going to be overly critical of the Lizard family and Prince Harry, and Prince Harry is a pushover. He's just going to do whatever she says, but eventually it's not going to work. Prince Harry will want to stay with her because he's a pushover, a pussy basically, and she'll just be dissatisfied. She'll fall out of love with him, but maybe they'll have a sham marriage, or maybe she'll just take lots of his money and move on. But let's get to Princess Margaret. So she's got a square to the moon. Moon's in Cancer, but it's also conjunct Pluto, Jupiter in the fourth, right? So her mother is Queen Lizard the First in the fourth house, right? Moon in Cancer, Pluto in Cancer, Jupiter in Cancer, fourth house. And then she's got Saturn in Capricorn conjunct DMC. These charts are so telling. Sun in Leo, Sun conjunct Neptune, even though Neptune's out of sign. Mercury is in Virgo. A lot of planets in really good dignity. But this square shows that square the nodes with South Node in the seventh in Libra, North Node in Aries in the first is all about being alone and being yourself, especially conjunct Uranus. No way she can have a decent relationship with this. Yeah, she'll attract lots of different people because she's a huge flirt, but and she loves relationships, and she's rich and powerful, and no doubt she'll attract suitors, but it's just not going to work. She's far too independent, and she's moving towards greater independence. There's nothing here that says she's going to be with somebody romantically. It's North Node in the first, Aries, conjunct Uranus in Aries, retrograde. Like, that's independence upon independence. This is like, it's like, forget it. Like, why don't they have an astrologer who can advise them? Hire me. I'll tell you. Save you a lot of trouble. Her ascendant Lord Mars is in the third house in Gemini. Interesting. So Gemini is mutable, very changeable. So her life is going to be very, mutable, changeable. But this square is so powerful. Moon is exactly square the nodes. And domicile conjunct Pluto in the fourth, and Jupiter. And Queen Lizard the First is her mother. So she's got major issues with her mother. Father, not so much. Fun, games, I mean, they're both in good dignity. Sun's in Leo, Moon's in Cancer, right? But Sun's in the fifth house. It's out of sign conjunct Neptune, but it's still in the fifth house. And there's no, let's see, there's Sun, actually, the Sun semi-square Venus. So he's also giving her a hard time about her relationships, both her parents. And that's it. Saturn is the 11th and 12th Lord. Not sure about the 12th, how that relates. The 11th, community, career success, network. Just Saturn in general and good dignity, and Capricorn on the ascendant is, or MC, shows a natural leader. Saturn and Uranus retrograde, very independent, she really doesn't care about the law or what anyone thinks. She's going to do what she thinks. Highly independent and aggressive. And a lot of good dignity planets. Oh my gosh. Mercury, Moon, Sun, Venus, Saturn, Jupiter. Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They're all in good dignity. Like, my gosh. Queen Sofia of Spain. So we're getting a little, we're not talking about maybe a different lizard family. I don't know. The Spanish lizards. Born Princess Sofia of Greece and Denmark. She's the first child. Oh, so I wonder if she's a sibling of Phillip Mountbatten. She's the first child of King Paul of Greece and Federica of Hanover. His family was forced into exile during the Second World War. She spent part of her childhood in Egypt, returning to Greece. She completed her secondary education in Germany before returning, blah, blah, blah. She became queen upon her husband's accession in 1975. Juan Carlos abdicated in favor of their son, Philip. Okay. Queen of Spain, Sofia. Chiron in the first house. Is she a wounded healer? I don't think so. She's just an elite. Chiron, unique, unique among unique, retrograde, first house, definitely. Pluto, stationary in Leo, second house, resources, resources. Leo, king, Pluto, power control, stationary, very powerful. Inheritance, right? Pluto, shared resources, second house. Moon, conjunct MC in Pisces, exact. Pisces, glamour, right? Not one of the fixed signs, but definitely very glamorous. Saturn in Aries in the 11th. Ooh, a bit of a dictator. South node, Uranus and Taurus. North node, Mercury, Sun, Scorpio. Sixth house. So she probably likes to serve people. She's probably very service oriented. Jupiter's in the 9th in Aquarius, so she believes in very high-minded ideals. Could be somewhat of a social, not socialist, but social minded, right? Aquarius can be like socialism, but it could also be very ideal utopian civilization, which is not socialism. Socialism is more dystopian. Socialism is where everyone's a slave and the people in power have all the money and resources and wealth, and they are the slave owners. There's nothing good about socialism. Unless it's voluntary, in which case it's not real socialism. Let's see. Mercury's ruling the 4th. That's conjunct North Node. And the Sun. Sun is ruling the 3rd house. Mercury is ruling the Ascendant. So Ascendant and 4th Lord. Conjunct Mercury. Jupiter. It's the 7th Lord. So her husband becomes king. So Aquarius, Jupiter and Aquarius, 9th house. But Mercury square Jupiter. So she probably fights with her husband a lot. But you can see that she's destined to be queen or queen-like, and she's got a grand water trine as well. So Moon is in contact with this Chiron, dignifying it. Mars is not good dignity. Saturn's not in good dignity. Mars is ruling the 6th and the 11th. So she must have some bad friends. She must be in with a bad crowd. Because Saturn's in poor dignity here, and Mars is the dispositor, also in poor dignity. Weak friends, criminal friends, something like that. But very powerful, very rich. Obsessed with money, literally obsessed with money and resources, and power control. But North Node conjunct Sun also can be pretty bloated ego. And Mercury, the Ascendant Lord, so very powerful. That's 6th house, 5th, 6th house. So funny games, but also service to others. Very competitive as well. Loves helping people, loves competing as well. Competition. Although, Venus and Mercury, Scorpio, though, definitely passive aggressive. Scorpio ruling Mars ruling the 6th and the 4th. And Libra, passive aggressive. South Node Uranus is trauma, but also awakening or sometimes genius. Could be a lot of things. You see this with different kinds of things, but a lot of times a past of trauma. She might have had a very traumatic upbringing through her groups and networks, foreign lands, trauma from foreign places, Venus. Sag, travel, distance. Yeah, she traveled a lot. In any case, let's check the dignities. Venus is retro. Saturn, Uranus is retro. And Pluto is station. Extremely powerful Pluto. Very independent. Prince of Wales, William. So William, unlike Harry, William is bald like me. So I gotta make fun of myself too. I mean, I'm making fun of everyone else. Okay. We know him. He's got Neptune right on the ascendant. So he's a bit more exotic and mysterious, right? Neptune is like exotic. It can be very spiritual, but Neptune also represents loss. It can represent deception, pretenses, drugs, alcohol. And then let's see here. It's in conjunct Venus and Chiron. So definitely that in conjunct to his Neptune and ascendant to Chiron, it's going to show yeah, I mean, I don't want to be mean, but this is sort of like the it's not this Chiron's not in good dignity here because of the inconjunct to the ascendant. Makes him a bit more weird, a bit more different, especially Venus also in conjunct. I don't know. I think that's not so good for looks, but Venus is in good dignity. It's not like he's ungood, he's not good looking. It's just that he's Harry has the full set of hair, so Harry's better looking. I'm not sure that matters much. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just trying to make sense of this. But Venus conjunct Chiron probably shows that he loves being an outsider. He loves being different. He's very smart. Mercury in Gemini in the sixth. Really, really intelligent guy. So he's got the brains. William is the brains. Harry's the brawn. Harry's got the head of hair. He's kind of a pussy, I think. But William has Sun and Moon in Cancer and North Node, seventh house. So he's all about relationships too. But Mercury is descendant lord, seventh lord, but it's conjunct the sixth house cusp. It's in good dignity, but when the seventh lord is in the sixth house, it's seventh whole sign house. So it's a bit tricky, but there can be loss. There can be loss because it's 12th from the seventh, right? It's lost when if a planet, if the ruler is behind, like one house behind, it's loss of that house, right? Also foreign, could be foreign, marries a foreigner, but it can also be loss or like conflict with the partner. But he's very much about and then Moon is in good dignity here, so and North Node. So it could be, conflict. It's a mixed bag, right? Life isn't simple. Life isn't, people want to make very, very overly simplistic kind of interpretations with astrology when often it's very nuanced. Think about your own life. Like, your boyfriends, your girlfriends, husbands, wives, friends, family, you get along with them, then you get in a fight and you break up, and then you get back together, then you break up, then you get back together, and it's all messy, right? And how do you see that in a chart? Well, it'll be, you're getting mixed signals, and then you're getting, it plays out in time, one time one way, another time the other way. Jupiter's conjunct the MC, so very powerful public image, career in Scorpio. Saturn exalted conjunct Mars in detriment, and then Pluto. Very intense. That's still really aggressive though, because Mars and Saturn, even though it's in Libra, So there's a certain element of passivity here, but it's still very aggressive, right? So I do not think this guy is a pushover. He's probably very smart and very aggressive. And no, the Libra actually is probably an asset because he's very aggressive, but he can hide it behind this very Libran way of dealing with people, right? He knows how to talk to people and manipulate and control them at the same time. And Venus is the dispositor. Venus is in Taurus in good dignity. Uranus is retrograde. So again, very independent. 11th house, community, family, groups, networks. Not really family, but just like community, groups, networks. A family can be a community. Venus is also the 4th lord in the 5th house. Saturn's the 2nd lord, so wealth. But Mars is it's not ruling cusp here, but this is the 5th whole sign house, which is interesting, but it's taking up most of the 3rd quadrant and MC Lord. So Jupiter is dignifying it, but Saturn. So his career is going to have to do with Jupiter, meaning 3rd lord, communication, and ascendant. It's ascendant lord. Ascendant lord, conjunct the MC in Scorpio, 0 degrees. Very powerful. And Saturn, so that's 2nd house. So resources. So himself and money, wealth. I mean, that's not hard to believe. That's not hard to see. It's not hard to understand. Prince of Wales. So his mother is Princess Diana. So Moon in Cancer, conjunct Sun. Father, King Charles, North Node. So definitely royal family, right? Venus, Chiron, 4th lord. How do we see mother? Here, Princess Diana. I know, like, look to the moon, look to the 4th lord. I know all that. I'm not an idiot. I'm just talking about where do we see? And I'm asking out loud just because that's one way. I don't know about you guys, but spirit talks to me, my subconscious talks to me. If I ask a question, I get an answer sooner or later. So that's how I learn astrology. So where are we seeing this accident with his mother? Mars, Saturn, Pluto, parents. Even though it's not ruling a house here. I mean, it's ruling the 2nd house. It's not ruling the 4th house. It's not ruling 10th house. It's in the it's actually 11th whole sign house, believe it or not, but it's in the 9th quadrant. But it's very prominent regardless. But this Saturn's in good dignity, but it's surrounded by Mars and Pluto. Mars is non-good dignity. Mars is always the planet of physical aggression and, like, actual physical harm. So if Mars is strong or Mars is weak, there can be danger of that sort of thing. But here we're talking about his mother. So Saturn, meaning parental figures, even if it's not ruling one of the cusps, it's still very prominent. It's still older people. Pluto, power control issues. So I think something like that. Uranus also for accidents and trauma. Let's see. Uranus is in conjunct the sun and moon. That's really interesting. In Sag, travel, right? She died in a car accident. So that is very telling, especially to the moon. To the sun too. Probably really strained the relationship with his father because it's probably not his real father, King Charles, and he knows what happened. So there's a heavy price to be paid for being a wealthy prince, right? Especially when you're in the lizard family. this Neptune in conjunct Venus kind of bothers me because, well, Venus is ruling the fourth lord, it's in the fifth house, conjunct Chiron, so it's clearly talking about his lizard family and that there's a loss here. He's lost to his lizard family. Somehow he's an outsider. Even though officially he still holds the title. And I think I think the death of their mother really set these two boys in a, separate kind of moving away from the royal lizard family, because it was just too devastating. And I don't believe Charles is their father. I just don't feel like it is. It doesn't seem like, this is my intuition. I don't know for a fact. Right. But he's all about other people. He's all about relationships. Mercury, he's got a mixed relationship, but I think overall good. And he married somebody, I forget who. And that's it. That's the end of it. So, guys, I hope you found this valuable. I hope you enjoyed it. Really, really interesting stuff. And all the charts were really revealing and telling about royalty. A lot of the fixed signs. We saw ascendant and MC, powerful placements, usually fourth house, fourth lord, right? All that. Second house, second lord. Yeah. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, share it. Leave a comment down below, say something relevant. I will reply. I try to reply to everything, unless I can't reply to everything. Just some things are not worth replying to. But book a reading with me, and no matter what you can afford, just let me know. Just tell me your situation. We'll work something out if you'd like. You can always write a testimonial for a discount. Or just because you want to write, because you've had a reading and you want to give something back to me, that'd be awesome. Write a testimonial. Other than that, I think that's everything. Mediocre astrologer signing off. Meh, he's okay. All right. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.